Okay, folks, good morning. We've got to clear the premises here. We have a invasion of sorts. And here's the two 3D prints that my friend Jose, some of the 3D prints that he gifted me in Spain. I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of these in case somebody asks, hey, what's the stages of these things? It's kind of unusual for me to be doing an Africa core thing and a standard German one at the same time. So I might as well take that opportunity to... Well, speaking of taking the opportunity, since nobody's here yet, let's clear the work area, because this is an encroachment. And as soon as I said that, people show up. It's my superpower. This goes over here. Just need to get some stuff out of the way so I can find myself. Okay, so one is Panzer Gray, and one is Panzer Gray with the dry brushing of the green ochre, and then both of them have make sure the right chat's on. Yep, and then both of them have the dark wash, which I can never remember what it's called, strong tone on them. And then you let them sit overnight, and honestly, I'm surprised they're not any shinier than they are. So this is when they're going to start varying the direction that they're going to travel in. So I normally would have painted this completely in black and then dry brushed the Panzer Gray, giving it the wash, and then go back with the Panzer Gray again. I did not give it the Panzer Gray. I did not the Vallejo Panzer Gray. I did the spray just to save a step. So now I'm not going to go and grab the the Ammo MIG. I'm not going to go grab the Ammo MIG Gray because it doesn't dry brush worth a shit. So we're going to use the Panzer Gray on top of it. And then we're going to get the Luftwaffe color. Is it this one? Yep, Luftwaffe German uniform. Mix some of that in. And then we're going to mix in some... Not that one. It's called Desert Sand. Not Desert Sand, the other one. Dark Sand. And light it up. So that's what we're going to do. So let's get it on. And then there's something I want to talk about. Well, we want to wait till the right people are here. So if the right people are here, you need to speak up so we can talk about it. That means you, Jeffrey. I don't want to talk about your stuff and you're not here. Not about your stuff, but what you brought up. This will do. So I looked up these vehicles, these 200, the SDKFZ 252s. They were produced in 1940 and 41. They made like, I don't know, several hundred of them. Not a ridiculous amount. And I just figured, there he is. And I just figured, you know, if I've got to paint this, they use these pretty much to carry ammo for Stugs. If I'm going to use these for something, it's more likely that there were more of them running around when they were gray than when they had to be repainted the dark yellow. So I decided to make this one gray. Okay, Jeffrey, your question the comment that you brought up, was I aware that Face of Battle is in the second edition. This is not going to be very noticeable, by the way, what I do here. But we're going to do it anyways. And I was not. However, after I made a couple of videos of that, the author contacted me and said that he liked, it might even be on public, it might have been like on one of the threads on there that he actually made the comment, that I had motivated him. There you go. I'm a motivator. To re-release that edition. And he talked about some of the changes he had done. And I'm not sure if it was in this edition or another edition he hasn't released yet, because he talked about, you know, Modern Battle, the Face of Modern Battle included some of these ideas. However, it doesn't have the data it doesn't have the weapons data for the Germans and the Russians. And one of the things that he mentioned, I was not happy with. Now, I don't know if that's in this edition, but one of the things that he changed is, he said he changed from a percentile system to just a D10. That I would not be happy with. So, I came across the Face of Battle because I was trying to develop my own rule set, and it's because I work for a living, and I don't live with somebody I can constantly play test. It's basically an uphill climb of unusual size. So I found the Face of Battle, and it had a lot of things that I would have wondered if somebody listening to my conversations, because a lot of the stuff was real similar to what I was thinking of doing. Something's queer here. There we go. Let's try this. This color is a lot darker than I wanted it to be. Probably because I highlighted this with the paint and the airbrush. Anyhow, and I am emphatically a percentile player. So, with that said, I am not too keen on buying the second edition. But with that said, I probably will. And it's nice that it gives you an option. I don't know how long it's been released. It's been released long enough for somebody to complain about the price of a PDF. $30 for a PDF. No thanks. Okay, Warhammer player. Look, you can print it as many times as you want. I'm probably likely to get the one that's the soft copy and the PDF. I'm not gonna play another set of rules, for World War II. It's not gonna happen. So I'll probably at some point probably get it. And have to learn how to play a damn game again. No, I don't think there's a whole lot of it that's different. There's many things that I don't want to skimp on the detail, and I'd hate for that stuff to be marginalized. So I just don't know. Use them for ammo carrying and sometimes as observation vehicles. Yeah, they usually came with a little trailer. I didn't get a trailer with this one. Hey, I'm not going to complain. I got this for free. They got a flat tire. It carried, I think I read somewhere, it carried like 36 extra rounds. All right, let's just add some of this blue by itself. And we want to do this before we paint any of the wheels and stuff, because this is a variation, and this is not weathering per se. This isn't the environment. This is the actual paint being weathered, not the dirt coming up on it. That's something a little bit different. I think the game is just out. It came up in my new and your favorite email. Well, it didn't take long enough for somebody to complain about it. $30 is a lot for a PDF if you end up not playing the game. If you end up playing the game, I don't think it's very expensive. But any amount of money is too much if you end up not playing the game or not liking it. So I'm probably going to get it, because there's a good chance. Let's say I don't like the way he handles the vehicles. I like the way he handled the vehicle stuff earlier. Let's just say that. I can use the earlier vehicle stuff, and I'm not going to run this at a tournament. It's my game. I can play however you want. If you don't like it, you don't come over to my house and you don't play it. I don't have to listen to you. It's that simple. There was a game convention that was going on. I actually didn't find out about it until a few days ago. And I was just back from vacation. That was really the focus of everything else. In Jacksonville at the same time. And I looked at some of the pictures that some people had posted. Because one guy was posting, okay, this game session, this is what it looks like. Just kind of vague over the thing. And I saw two people right off the bat that I don't ever want to play a game with. And it's nobody you guys have seen on film. And it's none of our local people. So don't get any ideas that it's so-and-so. It's not. But it's a couple guys that are a pain in the ass to deal with at conventions. And I'm like, I'd rather not play a game than deal with those assholes. The Wolfman. What was just released? The Face of Battle, version 2. Jeffrey turned me on to it. And that was my concern, is having that conversation with him, or that interaction with the author, that he said that he might have streamlined it and just go to D10. And I didn't go. He didn't go into depth into where the D10s belong, but I don't want to hit with a D10. Instead of rolling percentile, I'm rolling a D10. It just feels. But I'm going to give him the doubt of the benefit. I'll probably still get it anyways. Dark sand's the color I want. Is that the one it is? Dark sand, right? I think that's the color that Yeah, I think so. I can't remember. It's been such a long time since I've added this to it. He should have given me a free copy of it, right? Because I was promoting his game. Nah, I don't ask for shit like that. I don't go that route. Because what happens is that then it gives people um, a foothold to manipulate me. There's a I was having a conversation with somebody recently, and one of the things that they mentioned was that they had this interaction with a certain someone that they didn't like because this certain someone is a purveyor or they're up in the tier of this one particular company that anytime anybody says anything even constructively criticism, they like jump they get shut down. And I'm like, I don't want to be that way, if I buy something and it's a piece of crap, I want to let you know it's a piece of crap. Not like, well, they gave it to me, I got to shut my mouth about it. I'm not a very salesy person. I mean, I try to see the good in things that that they do right. But when somebody does something well and then they stop doing it well, and all of a sudden they want to cut corners, I want to let people know that they cut corners. And I'm fine just bringing it up in a video. I don't need to contact them and make a big to do. Hey, you run your business however the hell you want. But I don't want to be sponsored by anybody because I don't want that the freedom of being able to say whatever the hell I want and being able to work on whatever the hell I want next is the most important thing for me. So, and it may not be for other people. Other people might be like, well, I'd rather have a Patreon business, right? And have people pay Patreon, and then they can tell me what they want to vote for. And then that's too political for me. And it's not that I don't want to do what other people might suggest me to do. It's just I don't want to have to be beholden to that. Because for me, this is therapy from the real world. Not, okay, more responsibilities. And let's face it, I don't care how much you're paying me on the Patreon. It's going to be a smidgen compared to what I'm being paid Monday through Friday. Unfortunately. I mean, I told somebody one time, you pay me 75% of my salary, I'll be your painting bitch. We'll paint whatever the hell you want. But you're going to have to cough up some dough because I got some overhead I got to take care of. I'll be your painting bitch. And my wife tells me all the time, man, you should get somebody to paint. You should get somebody to pay you to paint for them. They don't pay shit, man. That's, and I fortunately don't really need the cash. I mean, let's put it that way. It's not worth my time. If I wanted extra cash, go get a part-time job and work at Wawa or something like that for a minimum wage. You'd be farther ahead. I mean, I know of a couple guys that I guess paint for a living. I don't know how the hell they live. Maybe in a shoebox. Not even a big box, in a shoebox. They say they paint for a living. Who knows? People say they do one thing and then they do something different. Yeah, good for them to be able to do that, but I got too much overhead. Maybe if I was 15 and lived with mom and dad. It's no longer 1986. Yeah, I don't want to be beholden to anybody. I want to be like Frank. Like, look, this is any good. Or I wouldn't get this. I'd get this instead. There's enough trolls already trying to confuse people as it is. Okay, so we got a little bit of a bluish tint. Let me put my glasses on, step away, so I can see what's going on here. What's going on here? Okay, so next stage is to paint the things black that are black and paint the things gray that are gray. All right? Yeah, my show's real, man. Just like when my phone fell down last night. Shit happens, you know. I'm not afraid of showing you guys that I'm human. I'm pretty sure I'm going to continue being human the rest of my life. You know, when reality shows first started coming out, I thought it was pretty interesting until I realized every fucking thing is edited. So like, you're not really seeing what's going on, you know. And that might be fine for some people, but you know, it's a waste of my time. Oh my God, Michael sings Machinations. Welcome. I actually know a few guys who used to paint for a living. They say the moment you put down the airbrush and pick up the paintbrush, you start losing money. Yeah. Yeah, and you got to do it for yourself. I mean, this is therapy for me. And it's not that my life is that stressful, but like everything goes well here. This is like a positive way to get the gay? No. This is a positive way to get the day going. You know? It's your morning mental workout. You know, what's his name? God, I can't think of what his name is. I haven't watched him in a long time. Whatchamacallit, the terrain tutor. I guess he had quit his job and was going to do that full time. Well, I really like that guy's got a shitload of energy, and I think he has a great personality to do that. But I think that just it's people are you're only going to find a few people that are going to Patreon you. You know, I'm not going to Patreon anybody. My way of giving back is to do shit like this. Not that anybody watches this, but I give away all my secrets. All you got to do is ask and listen. I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to give away any of my secrets. That way I'll be like a god onto my people. I'm like, come on, man. Be helpful. I learned really early on. I wasn't even 20 years old when I ended up painting something for someone, and I absolutely hated it, the entire process, because it wasn't for me. And they didn't even tell me how to paint it. It was like a big destroyer model. It was the Lindbergh Blue Devil Destroyer. I don't know, it was like 3 feet long or something like that. And I hated I hated every step of it. And they even paid me in advance. Now this is tricky because this particular style of sculpt is a little cartoonish. That's not to knock it. I actually like it. But it doesn't have a rim on this road wheel. So we're going to not paint all the way to the end. When we dry brush this will all make sense. Maybe you could paint for a living in Europe, but you can't in the US. You gotta have this thing called health insurance. And food's, now that I found out, we're getting raped on food. We're getting raped on food here in the United States, on food prices. I don't mean going out to eat. I mean like at the grocery store. Okay, and here is the oversized axe. Okay. Moving along the other side, we got some cables here. Normally I wouldn't paint this stuff until I was done with the weathering, but we'll just come and touch it up after the weathering. But there's all kinds of stuff that you'd be willing to do for people and not be willing to do for people. I'd be more likely to build a model for somebody than I would be to paint something for someone. Please don't send me your models. Mr. Marcus, you just finished watching the video what I picked up in Jack's. Nice. Yeah, I mean, so you just and I walk away from a lot of stuff. I walk away from most things, but there's some things that are like, actually, I had bought all that stuff. I had bought the books and the SU-85, and I'm like, man, this is heavy. Let me go back to the car, put it in the car, and come back because there's one guy that had a couple of Eschi models for $5 a piece. He had a Panzer One like the one I have, and a Panzer One Command also. And I was like hemming and hawing, right? Like I don't really need that, so that's why I didn't just grab it. And when I came back, somebody already had it in their hand. I'm like, that's fine. It wasn't for me. Made the decision for me. Well, that same guy that had that was the same guy that I dug deep in his coffers and grabbed the stuff from the figures from. So, I'd like to think that because I didn't grab those two Eschi things from him, I was digging deeper in there and found those figures. Because they weren't in an obvious place. And actually, I had to ask him, hey, do you have any more? And he goes, yeah, I might have some. And then I go, like, you got Drew's? You got Drew's figures? Yeah. And I don't think he knew what he had. He didn't have very many of them or would have gotten more. But, these figures go out of production and then somebody's sitting on them unused. And they're probably regretting having gotten them because 20 millimeters, they sure seem to portray it like a dead scale. I mean, I'm not going to paint a different scale, but that's me. I mean, you could give me 28 millimeter stuff for free. I'm still going to buy 20. I mean, for World War II, anyways. Now, I could paint like they have little slits in the headlight, or paint it without the slits. As I love painting bulbs. They make me happy. Like you go outside, you see a cute little frog, makes me happy. Or a bumblebee. or painting little headlights. I like stuff like that. Okay. German camo, SS camo, or in Spanish, al.cam.pardo negro. So, Alemán camuflaje pardo negro. German camouflage dark brown. Or black brown. Might be the case that I just didn't know what was out there in the past, but it sure seems like there are multiples of 20mm items available today versus the past. There's a lot more available now. The problem is that a lot of things that we had way back when are out of production. As a whole, there's more. The problem is it's the 28mm stuff that makes a lot of noise. Like we have to go hunt and find everything, which is fine. It's luckily we don't need anything, and it just isn't popular on this continent. And for what it's worth, I mean, I don't play Warhammer stuff, but the new recruits come from Warhammer. So, they're already used to that scale. I used to really hate that scale because the figures were really disproportionate, but there's some really nice figures in 28mm. Um, I just don't. I wouldn't play Face of Battle in 28mm. I'd be more likely to play it in 15s. Then my battlefield's a little bit bigger. Oh, you can't say that these days. What did I say? What did I say that I will continue to say now? Now that you told me that I can't say it. Hey, you better be careful. I'm gonna go put a good word in, and we'll buy that country out from under you and raise your food prices. It'll all be worth it. You guys will finally be driving on the correct side of the road. God, I hate that. Hey, that's pretty good. The only thing I can say bad about the United Kingdom is that. But I'm not one of these things. If it ain't American, it sucks. I'm not one of those. If it ain't American, it sucks kind of guys. The paint color. Oh, really? Black brown? Oh, the N word. Negro. Well, sorry, it's a color in Spanish. It's one of my favorite colors. It's natural camouflage for fat people. People might not like to be called that, but at least they got a good color. Imagine if they decided, like, we're gonna call these people that used to be slaves just to make them look downtrodden. Trodden. We're not gonna call them any of the normal colors. We're gonna call them like fuchsias. Oh, here come the fuchsias again. Yeah, that'd be much worse. Had a look at the sample pages. He suggests multiple D6, decides who sets up first. Yeah, I read that. I took a glance at that as well. I'm probably going to take the plunge on it at some point. It's just not a priority for me right now. And I've enjoyed his game enough that I don't mind throwing money at him. It's just not a priority for me. I don't want to look at that, and that's just gonna. I'm fine with what I have so far because I'm willing to take what I have here and like modify it to however it suits me. Fuchsia, please. Oh man. What's up, my fuchsia? Give me a second. I can come up with a better color than that. But that just, that's obviously a color name. It's not like, you use that in anything else. Magenta. Me and my magentas were just rolling through town. Okay. I love this color for tracks. Well, assuming the tracks are, steel. Otherwise, it doesn't work. The limeys. That reminds me, and I mentioned it yesterday, I think. I had the best freaking gin and tonic on British Airways. Holy shit, that was good. I hadn't had one in a long time. That was like my go-to drink for a long time. Like, if you're gonna drink too much, have gin and tonic, man. You'll feel great. I think 11 or 12 at my wedding. No hangover. I didn't have them back to back to back to back. Over the course of 8 hours or something like that. That was the first adult drink that my daughter liked. I'm like, okay, cool. We're going places now. I think that was the only cocktail I had in Europe. Everything else was beer. Okay, well, this cute little bastard is good to go. Now, while that's drying, we're going to switch to the African pour. Which, by the way, I had to think of another girl's name because all these are named. All these have girlfriend names. So this one's going to be Louisa. Since the Germans were lazy, they didn't give them freaking numbers. They did on some later armored cars, like the 1944 ones. But the early war ones, you'll be lucky to find any of them that have a number. Cat Roger, welcome to Catman. Good morning, just checking in, do a paint along. You still enjoy watching your World War II projects. Excellent. Well, that's all we're going to have. We're not going back to ancients and medievals anytime soon. You can tell that these are two different designers Because look at the size of the shovel here on the half track, and you look at the shovel on here, and it's massive. Like this, the freaking rod's like this big. Like how would you, but that doesn't bother me. It's just an observation. It might bother some people, but like, dude, man, it's just a miniature, man. If you're gonna be that picky, there's some figures you just wouldn't use because they're just out of proportion. It's a stylistic choice. Cat Roger, you're over in the UK, aren't you? The land of fog. Fogland. The fog bank. The great fog bank on the other side of the pond. That is just so whacked. That was crazy. Absolutely crazy. Like some curse. There was been some... The curse of Boudica or something like that. Like, and forever your island will be shrouded in mystery and this fog that shall never lift. Crazy stuff, crazy stuff. Land of the cough. Everybody's still coughing in Britain. Man, everybody was coughing in Britain. Well, I was cold free from most of the trip. It wasn't until I got to Córdoba. It wasn't until I got to Córdoba, maybe Granada, when it started being an issue. It's not coughing during the day, but like you're like at night, like you gotta like sit upright or you're like coughing, like for no reason. I'm not even, and it's funny because normally when you cough, and this has happened to all you guys, including myself, we have a bad cough, and it's over with. 3 days later, your chest freaking hurts, because you're contracting all those muscles all the time. Nothing in the chest. So I don't know where I was coughing. I'm guessing it's the back of the sinuses. It was never in the chest. But man, just nonstop. Nothing could stop it. Oh well. Why am I getting the feel this isn't the right color? I am mistaken. This is the right color. This is dark sand. We have the fog on the river Tyne. Rises up the Tyne Valley. Yep, it's still coughing and chest infections over here, unfortunately. The recycled air on the plains doesn't help. I always have a throaty cough. Yeah, that always happened to me, but I was actually fine. So what happened I was in London. I can't speak for all of Britain. I just went to London and it was kind of a surprise. We had no intention of going to London on our first trip to Europe. I got nothing against you guys' country. Guys know that. Other than the driving on the wrong side of the... I'm never going to live that down. I'm taking that one to the grave. That is just a terrible idea. But everybody's such a pussy and runs a heater on everything. It wasn't that cold. It was... Now, the week before we went, they said it was like ice and snow and everything. But when we went, it was like Florida winter weather, which is not that cold. And it's like Florida winter weather that it was wet too. So I'm a fan of that. However, you run the heater and I feel terrible. I go outside and I feel great. I mean, I want to be outside walking. Man, we in a walking we did. So the heater kills me. Yeah, everybody was sick. But you know what? I'd take everybody being sick than going in the summertime and then being uncomfortable because they don't have air conditioning like we're used to as spoiled Americans everywhere. So not having airflow was actually worse than having it. So If I got something from a plane ride, it would have taken 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 10 days to manifest itself. So I don't think that's where I got it. And we were popping the emergency stuff, that comes in crystals, or I was doing crystals, or it's dissolvable in water, and taking one of those every day just to boost like 2 or 3 days before we went. So I was fine, except that one night I was waking up every 30 minutes and driving everybody else in the hotel room crazy because of my coughing. Like, hey, I can't stop. Here, when I came back here, I just went to another bedroom, right? But you can't if you're all in one hotel room. You can understand why you Brits talk weather all the time. Everybody talks weather all the time, really. It's just so freaking weird. It is so. Now, it made the temperature nice, and like the first day was drizzly, but you could stay outside and you'd never get wet. It was so weird when we left Heathrow. It was like twilight all day long, and we left Heathrow and it was all covered in fog. And I'm like, oh, we're gonna fly over Normandy. Well, we didn't. We flew close to. We flew over on the other side of the Continent. Okay, but I could have seen Normandy if it wasn't shrouded in freaking fog. The fog that day went all the way. The entire Bay of Biscay was covered in fog, all the way until we got to the Basque Country, and then it was like, Meanwhile, in Spain, no wonder you guys go to vacation down there. Man, and the food in Spain was cheap. But we only had 2 days in Spain. I mean, 2 days in London. I probably could have spent 2 weeks just in London alone. But there's other places to visit. I didn't run into too many people I didn't understand. There was one waiter in Toledo. I don't know what the fuck he said. I don't think anybody knew what he said. He can't claim to clean it. So here's the thing that I find really weird, at least in Spain. I don't remember if this happened in Britain or not. You don't tip anybody, right? Which is fine. It's already included, as it should be. Another thing we do wrong here. Okay? Like I said, I'm not one of those. If it ain't American, it's a piece of shit. I'm not one of those people. There's a lot of things we do correctly, but there's a lot of things we do incorrectly as well. Nobody asked me, or I would have said, don't do it that way. But anyhow, Starbucks. So I go to a Starbucks in Sevilla, where I would get my morning coffee. And the Starbucks there is much better than the one here, because it's like they make real coffee and then they pour it on your water. Not just some pre-mixed who knows what you're drinking thing. But anyway, so I go get my Starbucks, and people are just used to leaving their trash on a table and somebody picks up after them. And I'm like, I'll pick up after myself if you give me a garbage can, right? Like, I don't need to be served, you know? I'm not royalty. Um, but yeah, there was a lot of people that just left their shit there. And I'm like, this looks like a place where you kind of have to throw your own stuff away. So, I'm not going to go back there and do your dishes, but I'll throw my I'll throw my trash away, you know. Oh, those little it took me a while. I actually ended up liking this, but initially I did not. You go and get a coat and you unscrew the top and like, fuck, this thing's broken. I can't get this thing off. So after fighting with it and taking it off, I realized, oh, they're supposed to be that way, so you don't leave this creating another piece of litter. Well, it shouldn't create a piece of litter because you're supposed to throw this where it goes, not leave it on the street. A lot of graffiti in Spain. They don't. They must not castrate people like they do in Singapore with graffiti and litter and stuff like that. How'd we do color wise? Well, we still have pale sand to do on top of it. And yeah, you can see little lines on here. I don't have a problem with it. You know, you can get the best painted, the best 3D printed thing. There's still going to be a few lines in a few places. All right, so next thing we're going to do is we need to paint the wheels on this, and then while they're drying, we'll go back and finish this guy. I was actually surprised that in London I didn't see more people from foreign land, from the colonies. I was expecting to see more colonials than I did. There was actually some Anglos left in London. UK, we only tip the odd taxi driver or takeaway delivery when they bring the food to your door. Yeah. You know, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. You make the customer pay for half their salary. The customer's already paying for their salary. It's worked into the price of it. It just complicates stuff. One of you guys, I think it was Ulf yesterday. It's like or the other day was saying like, why do we tax things on top of the price of it? I agree. Like, why make it complicated? The Office of Taxation and Misrepresentation, just all those guys should have been out of business. Maybe Musk will make it around to get rid of them all. No, that kind of waste is like, go do something productive, man. If the tax laws weren't so complicated here, you could have those people out of business. They could be like manufacturing like stuff that's worth a damn. So we wouldn't be like reliant on people we don't want to be reliant on to make our shit. We could make it ourselves. I mean, I do my taxes every year, and you shouldn't have to. It's just like freaking, it's too complicated. Throw all those people out. I was surprised how many Toyotas there were in in London. Well, they must love that because then they don't have to change the size. They don't have to change the side the steering column's on. But there was a lot of Hyundais too, and they hated it because the Hyundais are on the, I believe, I believe Korea is on the normal side. To have to change your shit back over, and that was in Salamanca, and some punk ass kid, some rich kid came by in a, was it a Porsche? It was like a Porsche Panamera. It was a four door Porsche. Something that cost more than every vehicle we've ever had put together to buy. And it had it on the British side. So maybe some rich kid that was up from Gibraltar. I don't know. Hello. Have a great paint job. You too, man. Upscope. Have a great day, downscope. I asked the one tour guide, and we were talking about different things, and the Portuguese came up, and I said, "So, what do you guys in Spain think of the Portuguese?" So I was expecting to get one of those answers, like when I'm playing medieval Total War 2, right? That they smelled like fish or something, you know? That's the little speeches you get when you play that game. It's just funny how they, you know? And he like didn't have anything bad to say about him. I'm like, oh man, that would have been fun to have it on video. Yeah, they smell like fish. I just don't understand why they developed a different language. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me that why Portuguese and Spanish isn't the same language. Like pick one and let's just roll with that one. I know one had more influence on the one thing than the other, but you know, like pick one. And it's funny because he said the same thing that we've had some we've had some ladies from, I want to say they were from Brazil, that have helped my mom when my mom had an aging mother, and I couldn't understand a word they said. They understood me perfectly in Spanish, or maybe they just pretended to understand me, but I can't understand a lick of Portuguese spoken. Written, yeah, it's almost the same as Spanish, but one of you guys was telling me about that video, and I watched 75%. We're watching it in the car on one of the car rides. But this guy that I think he's from New Zealand, and he's like 12 things he didn't like about living in Spain. And it was funny because he mentioned the coffee, and I'm like, well, don't come to the United States because the coffee in Spain is infinitely better than the coffee here in the United States. People want to complain about American beer being bad. Yeah, American coffee is bad. You can get good American beer. It's just not any of the brands you normally think of. But the coffee here is terrible. Not necessarily that one, but that's not really coffee. That's an espresso pod. Who knows what the hell that is? I was actually not expecting to see so many people in Spain smoking, like cigarettes. As a matter of fact, I don't think I ever smelled marijuana in Spain. Everybody's too busy smoking cigarettes. Which, I don't know how to smell cigarettes and marijuana. Now, I'm not going to do either one of them, but that was kind of surprising. I wish I was able to have filmed in Westminster Abbey because I'm walking around, and I mean it's like if it's not a church, it's a fucking burial ground. I mean, there's so many people that are buried there, it's ridiculous. It was super cool. We spent like 3 hours there. We could have spent 9 probably. Um, uh, and I was looking around, kind of taking everything out. I was taking some photos of some of the stained glass, and my daughter was next to me, and I looked down, and there's this in the floor. There's the the tombstone, or the I guess it would be a tombstone, even though you're walking on it, of Livingston. And right off the bat, without missing the beat, I go, Livingston, I presume, like without missing a moment. Like, man, I would have liked to have gotten that on video, but I guess you just had to be there. But yeah, there's all kinds of people buried there that, you know, that we've never heard of. They're like, oh, I got money, I want to be buried there and make myself feel important. I'm like, okay, well, nobody will know who you are, or you won't be really well known. There was this one corner that had all the poets, so they had like I don't know if Shakespeare was there, but there must have been. Anyways, it's like hey, there was like this whole wall of like Shakespeare and all these people that I forget what it is. I think I took a picture of it, and I'm like, great, it's a wall of people that I've shit I don't like to read. Oh man. But shit, if I went to London again, I'd go there again. That place is amazing. Really, really cool. Yeah, here it is. I look down and there's Livingston's freaking thing. Like, oh, Livingston, I presume. Who's next to him? Should be Stanley. Where's Where's that wall of people whose shit I don't read? Yeah, here it is. I guess the other people were here on the ground or whatever. They had all these. Oh, interesting. That in Latin, William is Guillermo. Interesting. Yeah, I don't read Shakespeare because of the language it's in. Not that it's a piece. Not that it's garbage or anything. It just, man, it might as well be a foreign language. The only Shakespeare thing I ever enjoyed was in college. We were in this poetry class. I think it was no, I don't think it was a poet. I wouldn't take a poetry class. That's like, no. But it was this. We ended up doing Macbeth, and we discussed it like chapter by chapter in a group, and that was good because everybody was kind of understanding the same shit at that point. But shy of doing something like that, it's like, I can't make heads or tails out of half the stuff that's being said. They had those other officers there in that same area. It was like, oh, the Little Women people or the Pride and Prejudice. I'm not gonna read that shit. I'm not gonna read stuff. I mean, I like to read, but I'm not reading Grapes of Wrath and crap like that. The Great Gatsby. I'm not reading that shit. That's why I never liked to read in school. They assign stuff that is horrible. Watch Upstart Crow. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Upstart. A sitcom. Okay. Reviews. 100% love the casting. Cool. Is it a Shakespeare thing? I'll check it out. Oh, I hope it's good, and I hope it's something that my wife likes. I always look for stuff for us to watch together. It's difficult. She's like a Hallmark movie comedy person, and I thought the girls would have really liked Allo Allo, and they didn't. It's dated looking. I thought it was pretty good, honestly. My daughter certainly has enough World War II knowledge I've beaten into her that she can, appreciate it. Okay. Next step, since this is the weathering scheme that goes with the temperate basing, we do we're not doing the bottom color, which is chocolate brown. So this is U.S. Field Drab, and then we do Iraqi sand on top of that. So let's do no, that's dark sand. It's kissing cousin. Mwah. Uh, I personally like British comedy. You love Macbeth. The Michael Fassbender version was good. On the other hand, I can't stand Shakespeare. I'm on the side he didn't write all his plays. Upstart Crow is brilliant. One of your favorites. I'll check it out, man. I'll check it out. I guess if you weren't a fan of the Tudors, you probably wouldn't like Shakespeare. Because he catered to that, right? He was a Tudor ass kisser. Hey, you want to keep your job, man. You're like, you gotta know your audience. Um, where is, where is my Iraqi sand? It's been a while since I've used it. Is it this? Wow, it's a lot browner than I was expecting. You can't say things like that anymore. Yes, you can if it's about color. U.S. Field Drab. Yeah, black lining's after this. You want to make sure black lining stands out. I took a picture of a few things that I liked at that model show yesterday, but by and large, I like the stuff that I do better than what I saw there. But I value contrast a lot because of the purpose that I have in mind. It's got to look good up close. It's got to look good up close. I'm nearsighted as shit, so this would look horrible to me if it didn't look good up close. And it's got to look good at a distance so you can differentiate between all the details these little guys have. So I like that black lining because it makes things pop. Back in a big dog walking time. Yeah, I heard them barking. They were getting restless. The doggos are restless. I guess you have to pick up after other people's dogs too. I guess if your dog's sitting, you gotta pick up after other people's dogs. That'd be like changing somebody else's kid's diaper. Like, yeah, I don't know that I want to do that. I don't mind changing my own kid's diaper, but other kids' diapers, no. Don't you guys have nannies for that? All right, it's black line time, it's black line time, baby. Black lines matter. Where are they? Nope. Let's save this for a rainy day. I feel like this new one is less dark than the other one. Probably the part that I like more than doing anything else is this. As strange as that may seem, they gotta go over every little nook and cranny, so I'm like enjoying all the little details. You saw a video the other day, some guy was putting milliput or some filler in a tank plate joints looked like wells when he finished. Thought of you straight away and wondered if you'd done this in detail. I have not. I really wish I have. I have not practiced this, but I would like to get the plastic sprue and mix it in with the Tamiya thin and make my own putty. Although I'm concerned that that would have enough wetness to it that it could activate the other plastic done. But no, I have not done that sort of thing before. I don't think I'm ever going to make my own Zimmerant. For instance, I think I could probably do a better job than some Zimmerant I've seen in pictures on real tanks. It looks abysmally bad. It looks like waffles gone wrong, you know? But like I've said before, sometimes reality doesn't look good enough. Like if you tried to paint, there's some winter paint schemes that just look so slopped on that if you did them correctly on a model, you'd be ridiculed. Everybody would think you didn't know how to paint, including yourself. It's just too sloppy. So it's this dance between reality and what is and what isn't. And ultimately, you got to be happy with the decisions that you make in that thing. But no, I have not done that sort of thing. I have not experimented with milliput much, or green stuff for that matter. I think I just have too many different things to work on. Like, I get lazy when it comes to like adding extra baggage and stuff to this. You know, that's where I run into analysis paralysis. Like, oh, where should I put on here? I don't know. I'm gonna. Well, if I put it, is there anything? Is there any of them that are going to be left for like the next vehicle I do? Oh, I don't know. Well, let me think about what I've got. You know, just I'm just like you end up just going like, fuck it. Don't put anything on it. You know, don't put any details. But no, I've not experimented with that at all. I certainly would be able to do that because right now I'm running around and I take my contacts out and I got a built-in +6. So it's very comfortable for me to see things that are really small details. And the only reason I'm doing it this way is because, I can't see up close now because, I'm over 45. I'm telling you, it's really weird for somebody who's been nearsighted their entire life to all of a sudden they can't see something because it's too close. Like, that is whacked. So, I was not expecting that. So, if I want to do things that are really detailed, I'll just take my contacts out. Of course, then I got to put them on to find anything else. So I'm running around here like Mole Man. The Mole Man cometh. I'm always curious what triggers people to make me think of me. That's actually probably a decent thing. You're like, I saw some asshole on the street and it reminded me of you. Like, not so good. You did Zimmerman on a Panther. Thought it was an okay job. In reality, you can go as far as you want with details. Their models and perception standards, plus some manufacturers do the Zimmer for you. Yeah, some even made like almost like photo etch thing. That's a bit too fiddly. I'd probably put it on myself. But you look at vehicles that have Zimmer on them. Some of them are just there's like a blind person with Parkinson's that put it on. It's just horrible, just horrible looking. It came from the factory one way, and then the ones that were retrofitted, I would imagine those are the ones that are really rough. Like, told me they got to put this Zimmer on, and damn it, I'm gonna. So they just rushed it. The same way some three color camouflage looks good, and some of it just looks really like crappy. I think the latch on this 3D printed thing is wrong too. It has the box opening like this, and I don't think it. Well, maybe it does because it doesn't fit in there. Not like I was gonna change it. It's only a model. Time to get my one remaining soda that's in the house. Be right back. They had a series of books. I don't know what they were called. I probably should have taken pictures of them. You guys may know what they are. And I don't know how many are in this series. They had at least 6 or 7 of them there at the used bookstore. And when I mean used bookstore, some of the stuff there is like brand new. Like it just sat on somebody's shelf. And some of the stuff has been, passed around. And there were books similar in idea as this. I think this is the 3rd or 4th one that I have. I think I have a St. Vith one, which I don't think I've even opened. The Hill 112 one. An Epson one, and then this one. And these give you like, real life maps of where things are happening, plus, oh shit, there's something highlighted in here? Oh. I may not have bought that had I seen that. I don't well, it was only $7, that's probably why. You don't highlight or write in a book. That's blasphemy. But there's a series of 7 or 8 of them. They're thicker. And they're done kind of in that same style. This happened here, here's some photos, whatever. But there's a section, the back third set was like battlefield tours. So you could take that book and it literally says, okay, start on this road and go down the M37 to this town, and you're going to see the church that was knocked down by a 75 millimeter gun that was, and it gives you like this play by play. Like if you want to go and you could take that book and go to a tour guide of whatever battle it is. I thought that was really interesting. Now, I don't see myself going to France anytime soon, and certainly not going to do battlefield tours with the girls. But I thought that was really, really, really pretty cool. And it was all Normandy stuff in that particular series. So they had like Oran Bridges and Caen and a couple of different ones. I don't know if they had a Falais or something like that. But it was really interesting that they had like the battlefield tours part. Go down this road and you're going to see this one building that, It was funny because the 3 of the books that I was like, I don't know if I should get rid of these. They didn't accept, so I'm stuck with them. So, including the one that I read that excerpt. So, maybe I'll have to go through there, find some excerpts, and we'll do that on Story Time with Tony. Well, I didn't write it. I'm just reading it. You have a few of those. Hill 112, Operation Blue Coat for sure. I have the whole set of France and Belgium 1940. You still playing any of the World War II PC games? I haven't in a while. The problem is that if you don't play some PC games in a while, you forget how to do the controls. I got to relearn how to play the whatever that thing's called, Hell Frozen Over, the Hell on Earth Ostfront or whatever. I tried to fire that up a couple of weeks ago when I was like all thumbs. But I use the games as like, hey, I wonder how this thing would work in action. Motivate me to do this stuff. Not like, I'm not going to paint anymore. I'm going to just play games because anybody could play games. But most World War II games don't interest me, which is good because then the next thing you know, you're buying game after game after game. Most of the gaming that I've done lately that has been on the Xbox with oh, that reminds me, I was talk to Ben about that. The zombie game, State of Decay. I've been playing some of that. What a great game. What a great game. This is a great I'm not a big zombie person, but it's a great combination of exploring, finding shit, resource management, There's a lot to like about that. It clicks a lot of the boxes. And I've resisted, buying stuff that I would have been salivating for a few years ago, like Steel Division, and just never gotten into it. Never went and that some of those games is computer games. If they're like 3 or 4 years old, they're available for pretty reasonable prices. But that's just going to take away from spending time with you guys. You picked up Lock and Load Tactical Edition on Steam last week. Only played the first scenario. So, I don't know if they've got the multiplayer fixed. But I am not an anti-board game person by any stretch of the imagination. But that's how I want to play board games. Like, boom, set up the board. Like, you can't play it wrong because it doesn't let you do the wrong things. It's an elegant-looking game. It looks really, really good. You just did a big sort out of models. Oh, I skipped you. Games do give me a bit of motivation in the hobby. Total War series has helped with the AWI, Rome and medieval periods. It's funny because Rome Total War came out the same time that I was getting into DBA. And it helped me to... As a matter of fact, the first tournament that I ran, I had the Rome Total War soundtrack playing in the background. So... Just a big sort out of model stuff, a few boxes of plastics, and a whole bunch of other shite off to new homes in the bin. Had to do it because I may have bought a bunch of museum minis, 15mm ECW during their sale. Why sad face? Unless you dislike English Civil War. What rule set would you even use for English Civil War? Pike and shot? I had to explain we were in Westminster, and there was a plaque for Oliver Cromwell where he was buried, and then he dug up, and then I had to explain to them, what hung, drawn, and quartered was. It's like he was hung, drawn, and quartered after he was dead. Like, let's dig him up and I forget my wife or my daughter says, who thinks up of these punishments? I'm like, hey, people can be really creative if they don't have TikTok. The York Show, I picked up a used copy of Forlorn Hope for a tenner. There is a ton. In many places I've seen, there's a used bookstore chain called Second and Charles that's all over the place. I don't know how they have it in Europe, but at this used bookstore as well, they have, if you go to the gaming section, they have tons. And this makes me sad. They have tons of Warhammer stuff that is there, languishing. And it's probably languishing because it's of a different version that they've rendered useless by creating other versions of it. And it makes me sad, not because I'm a Warhammer player, but because a lot of those books are really nice looking. Like, even they had some Flames of War books. I don't like Flames of War at all as a rule set, but their books are beautiful. And they have useful information in them. And I guess if you're a Warhammer player, is that stuff not usable? I guess if you play it your own way, it's always useful, but it's just sad to see stuff that's just like, oh, that's not usable anymore because it's an older version. Hung after he was dead. Does it keep growing like fingernails? Forlorn Hope. What does that sound from? familiar. I'm going to say that that's a Warhammer Historical Battles thing. Forlorn Hope Rules. Nope. It's much older than that. So I like this cover. I really like the cover of that. It's like period looking. It's period looking. Are you do people that are into the English Civil War, are they, do they favor one side over the other? Oh, I'm gonna start a civil war talking about your Civil War. Depends if you like cavalry or you like infantry. I would imagine. Because the Royalists had more cavalry. Seems kind of strange to me to have a set of rules that is only for the English Civil War and not the 30 Years' War, since they were both going on at the same time. But I guess that'd be the same thing as, having some game that's World War II Europe that doesn't include the Japanese. I've always been drawn to the War of the Three Kingdoms as I live close to two battlefields from that period. Started up using Forlorn Hope, File Leader, and Once Upon a Time in the West Country in the 90s. Every blog or book always has one side's miscalculations being unfortunate. So they're trying to please both sides, huh? I picked up Once Upon a Time in the Western Peninsula. WCW. How does the ECW seem? So see, I have this association, and it's probably an inaccurate disassociation. I have this association from an American perspective, and let me explain it to you, and then I'll tell you who I favor. When I think of Parliament, and I think of, now you have to understand, I have pretty basic information on pretty basic knowledge of the English Civil War. From a wargamer standpoint, I'm ignorant, but from a person on the street, I'm an expert. It doesn't say anything. But I associate Cromwell or the parliamentarians with Puritans. I know that's not accurate. And I associate Puritans with people that don't let you drink on Sunday. And as you know, drinking is not a big part of my reason to live, but I don't like being told I can't. So I am generally would take the other side. Now I'll play anybody. I'll play those Dutch rebels against my Spanish, but I'm definitely on the. I'll take the pro drinkers. I don't like people that ban my alcohol. So I know that that's incorrect because I mean the parliamentarians were definitely more puritanical than the royalists, but not to that extreme. I don't think either side was like, "Oh, we're not going to drink at all," kind of thing. I associate, those guys that are like, "Oh, well, you kicked them over to America because there were no fun at parties." I started preparing to get back into file leader a year or so back when buying Sabo bases from war bases for your 15 millimeter figs. I would play it. I've seen the battles look good. I mean, I like pike and shot combinations. Man, there was so much material in Spain on battles in the 80 Years' War. I mean, just insane. In the French Wars of Religion, just incredible amounts of stuff that I've never seen. Illustrated, all in Spanish, which, that doesn't really dissuade me. That actually would be kind of a fun challenge. Because I'd be able to read it and then come across a word. Okay, what does that word mean? Look that one word up. But if I can only do one thing, it's going to be WW2. I mean, it's. Has the United States been the only Western country where they ban alcohol? Or they tried to ban alcohol? Yeah, that really goes against my grain. That really bugs the living shit out of me. Because I grew up using alcohol as an appetizer, right? It'd be like saying, well, you can't butter your bread anymore. Well, why not? Well, some people might go crazy when they use too much butter. Like, who told you to take butter away from us? Like, what the hell's wrong with you? I say we fight. I say we fight and we don't take any prisoners. The Puritans were the one faction of parliamentarians. They became dominant later in the war when Cromwell became more powerful. Well, they're no fun at parties. Yeah, because I was like, I was somewhere. I was explaining, I was explaining something. It might have had to do with, I don't know what it was due. It was probably to one of the girls. I'm like, the Church of England and the Catholics, it's the same fucking thing. I mean, it's the same damn thing. So, I don't really consider the Church of England Protestants. Because to me, Protestants just seem like they're like, I don't know. I just have this like, it all revolves around alcohol. Like, it's the same damn thing. So I don't listen to the Pope. I don't listen to the Pope either, Not Nick. Man, I love Westminster. That was truly amazing. Truly amazing. And it's funny because all three of us really liked it. That was one of those things that was like all three of us were on the same page. You see a beautiful place like that, you're like, I don't mind paying the entrance fee because you got to spend money to keep those things working. You know? Just the stained glass. Just the stained glass there alone. I love stained glass. Okay. Time to do some headlamping. Both sides represented restrictive regimes. Cromwell didn't help with his murderous attacks on Scotland and Ireland. So, see, that's one thing I didn't know. I thought Scotland always sided with the parliamentarians. I mean, the guys who aren't whatchamacallit. Not the Montrose guys. The Montrose was royalist. What's the other guys? The Covenanters. I don't know. Maybe I need to read more about that shit. Idiot's Guide to English Civil War. I look forward to going to Scotland. I think that'd be. I think that'd be cool. I ain't wearing no fucking kilt though. That's on you guys. Just like I'm not going to Greece and wearing them little pom poms. No. No. Your bed, you gotta lay in it. I'm not there for the dress code. I'm there for the scotch. Oh man. Actually, all of us like scotch. I'm the only one that likes the peaty scotch, though. I like them all. I actually prefer the peaty scotch. Makes you think more. They gave me some scotch on the plane. It's the one they had. You don't have a lot of alcohol options on the plane. It's like, we have this and we have this. And I'd never heard of it before. And it started with an A. And it was all right. I think it started with an A. Scotch. That starts Aberfeldy. I'd never heard of Aberfeldy before. It was all right. Yeah, we know some people that went to Scotland, one of those Scotch tours. I'm like, yeah, sign me up. Speaking of Scots, you saw I got a bagpiper. I can't wait. I can't wait to paint his happy ass. I can't wait to paint his happy ass. And I got two of them, so I'm gonna make one guy for Europe. Everywhere he goes, you know, I gotta keep it down. I'll wake her up, and she's like, what the f are you doing over there?" Keeping the Jerry at bay. The Scots resisted Charles I as he tries to impose his version of the Anglican faith, Episcopalianism, instead of the Presbyterianism of Scotland. That set off the War of the Covenant. I gotta read more about it. He motivated. I'm sure somebody, kings and generals, will do some kind of something with maps, man. I'm a map guy. Retrospect, it's pretty stupid for Christians to be fighting each other. You know, there's basically only two kinds of Christians: ones that knock on people's doors and ones that leave other people alone. That's okay. There are little headlamps there. I suspect this is where an antenna goes. In which case we will drill that thing out. And we've got quite a few things made of wood. Where's Captain Beige Brown? Field drab would work in a pinch. Beige Brown. got to go darker than that for initial shade. Now, how did that pick up that lighter color there? Okay, that's the shovel handle. Freaking diameter like this. Presbyterianism was a form of Protestantism where there were no bishops and church leaders were chosen by parishioners. Still happens to this day with a moderator of the Church of Scotland. So they're more Baptist-like. And they're not anti-alcohol? I'm gonna have to listen to something on that. All right, and we still have some white here, so we can mix that in for the lighter highlight tone. Well, I can't wait to go to another model show. I like when they have things on sale. They're priced to move. Where's our metal color? Metal. I should have bought one of them little plain models and try to make a wreck for $2. Well, it'll be available next year. Now here's the thing. I don't remember if I did. Yeah, I did. I did do the Iraqi sand. Let's see if we can get a better picture here. Man, that glare is just a killer. There we go. Of course, we don't have drippings on it yet. No. SDKFZ 252. Let's see what we get here. Oh, there's some interesting markings this one has on the front of it. It's a model from Ace. No longer available in our catalog. Well, then why does your picture come up? It's like the national markings are up here. Well, here it is, transferring ammo to a Stoogie. License plate is down here. Looks like, okay. Let's go ahead and paint that. Actually, had a fair number of naval models at the convention, at the show. Okay. And we'll put a WH and the rest of it is just like wah 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 like I do my that on there. Who's this one made by? Dragon. Okay. Well, let's do what we always do. Let's go to scale mates. Make sure we're in desktop mode. It is. Okay. And the search is way the hell down on here. SDKFZ. Special Purpose Vehicle. 252. Oh, here's the command vehicle you're talking about. Oh, it has that pronged antenna type thing. Yeah, we don't want to do that. That 5-pronged bastard. Ooh, I like this one. It's got like 4 decal options. To a bottom of a rear door. Oh, I see it split over that. Well, that's okay. Looks like that thing is white. Okay, that's fair. So this little area here. I got half of mine to hand paint these crosses. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that because this one down here is relatively small. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint them all in this light gray and then tinker with them from there. I like hand painting shit anyways. Okay, does it go all the way to the bottom? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to have to tinker with that shape of that for a little bit. That one's going to fit there. And we're going to make them hollow. I need more water out here. There we go. Get the basic shape right, and then we can come and tinker with it. That one's pretty good. This one's a little hard to do because you've got that gap in the center. It's throwing everything off. Now we'll come in with, let's get Panzer Gray. And a little bit of this blue, which I should have tons of it because I went overboard with it. And a little bit of this dark sand. You just saw that British muzzle loaders uploaded a video where he is training with a Bren gun. Might be worth checking it out. British muzzle loaders, a muzzle loading Bren gun. It's a good looking weapon. Bren gun's a good looking weapon. Well, it's not important if it looks good. Well, it helps. I'm fucking day job today. I'm quitting my day job today. Fuck yeah. Look at that shit. I like it when I impress myself. We're not done yet, but damn! Damn! Man, painting all my decals from now on. You know, this is the DBA heraldry coming into play. Like you gotta, you gotta like sketch where everything's gonna be. You know what, man, this side looks great, and the other corner doesn't look right. You know, you can't like go through it once and it come out right. You've got to like, the way I didn't learn how to, like, I can't write papers because I didn't have proper training, like how to do a rough draft and stuff. Just do your rough draft and painting. And I'm gonna paint this probably almost pure white, but start with gray. So you gotta, it adds some extra depth to it. And paint really thin. Then you can cover up your. I enjoy doing this more than anything else, though. The customizing stuff. And you guys can do it too. I just showed you how. You gotta want to do it though. A lot of this stuff, and I don't blame people for not wanting to do things. Like this takes a little longer, but you know what? I didn't have to put that clear coat and wait for it to dry. You know? This is a little fatter in this direction, so let's see if we can clean that up a little bit. And you got to use a brush that doesn't give you any lip. If you give a brush that gives you lip, man, it's just, you can't deal with that. Now this is going to be kind of an interesting challenge. Let's get some more water out here. This is going to be an interesting challenge. Away for a tiffin. Catch you later. All right, man. Thanks for stopping by again. Tiffin. I don't know what that is. I didn't only spent 2 days in the UK. What is tiffin? A light meal or snack. Oh. South Asian English. Oh, no wonder I don't know what that is. Tiffin. I could use a tiffin right now, or 3. And this is why I do this first thing in the morning. This sets the pace of having a great day. It does, you know? Well, I mean, assuming you're successful doing this. If it causes frustration, maybe not so much, but we'll put a little bit of a gap here at the bottom. Okay, now, see if I can fuck this up. I'm gonna go a little brighter than that. Now, let's put some unit markings on the front because it's kind of empty looking. So I like this little self-propelled gun symbol that it has on there. Let's go back to my instructions here. Oh, this is a Großdeutschland one. Let's took 177. Yeah, I like that. I like that symbol. All right, so we need to do a little semicircle like a track, and then straighten two guns and two little things behind it. Okay. Let's do the track like this. Let's do a line. Let's do two parallel lines. And then we're going to do the vertical. Okay, and let's turn these little parallel lines semicircular. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. let's clean that up a little bit. What's going on here? It's catching. Make sure I don't touch anything we're not supposed to. And create more work for ourselves. What a cute little bastard. All right, let's fudge some license plates here. Drippings time. Let's take a quick pick. Quick pick. And the other one is this one. All right, so let's get our usual suspects for the drippings. And the usual suspects are light tone, soft tone, and mid-brown. As a matter of fact, before I do that, I'm going to, where's the weathering one that we used? This one should be relatively dry. Let's get, where's my Iraqi sand? All right. Dripping is time. Should have plenty of space here to work on this. Not that noticeable on the gray. And all this stuff is easy to do, but it does take some time and some TLC. No. This almost needs one of them little air recognition flags that I'm not going to show on the internet. Because the bots will be after you the next thing you know. Pretty decent little, cute little vehicle. Now, I think I am going to do one final thing. And I should have enough of this left to do it. Let's get, where's the pale sand? Be really careful with this. And this thing's ready to be sealed. Now, where is the nicknames on all these? I have them on the passenger side. Yeah, the coloring's coming out pretty consistent. They don't need to look perfectly uniform, but they need to be, like they were driven around in the same desert sort of thing. All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go use the restroom. Yeah, this color changes a lot depending on what lighting is in. And this thing's ready to be sealed. I've got quite a few things that need to be sealed, so probably should get them all together. Do that as well. You can see the little lines on here. It doesn't bother me one bit. There's more noticeable on the armored car, and they're fine there too. I could put a spare wheel on the back. This one will just have one missing. It got used. Okay, this one is going to be, what do we got? We got Liesel, we got Lily, and this one's going to be, I might as well do another L one. This one's going to be Louisa. So we're going to do German fonts, images. this mix is going to be Panzer Gray, well, no, that's the corrective mix. This is just going to be still gray because they're going to be white names. Maybe something like that. And I'm going to do the big L last. And I actually have a better brush than this one. I don't know why I wasn't using that one. Now's the time to use the best brush for anything else. What's that S look like? Actually, I need to go a little bit darker than that so I could see it. Maybe even darker than that. Now we'll start adding the white to this. Now we'll go in with a pure white. They're in white, aren't they? Second guessing myself. Yep. And of course, I got to take a picture. You're not going to be able to see this. You can really see the lines on here, but that's without any cleaning up. You see the second edition of Face Battle list for 4 Nationals vehicles just being released on War Game Vault. Yeah, old Jeffrey Smith told me about that this morning. I checked it out. I'm not in a hurry to get it. Like I said, you know, I was emailing back and I was emailing back and forth, and he had saw my video where I did the battles, and he's like, hey, he said I had motivated him to release it. Hey, there you go. And but he mentioned some things that he made some changes, and it sounded like he was getting away from a percentile system. So I'm probably going to get it. I'm not in a huge hurry to get it though. That would not be a step in the right direction for me. I am a percentile player, so I don't know if that's in there or not. But let's see. Let's look at some. Let's see some pictures. We've got DAK 230, SDKFZ 231. Let's see. Oh, fat fingered the hell out of that one. They appear to have been simplified somewhat. Well, you know, it might be worth looking into, and then I can always add detail in areas that I think detail is needed. So, okay, almost all the Africa Corps ones use a black center. I certainly like the way it looks nice with a black center. It's like right over where that one little spot is there. So we won't put it there. We're going to end up putting here in the center sections. Yeah, I'm going to put it over here below beside the turret. So I'll probably get the rules at some point. I'm just not in a huge hurry to do that. That's going to sidetrack me. You know, I can play them however the hell I want to because I'm not playing them in a tournament. So, not going down that road ever again. I see a problem, I can correct it now. Like, well, we got to have some meeting among the high thinkers, and then they don't come to a consensus, and you know you keep doing shit wrong. I'm like, nope, not going down that route. There we go. Okay, we're gonna put one there. I feel like I need one from the front. Do any of these have any on the front? Put it on the cow catcher. One of these does. Okay, and it's above the brake. That's good. I wouldn't want to split it above and below. That would be a pain in the butt. So we're going to come in here. And do it like so. Where else? I think that's it. That's it. Let's build these up now. Yeah, I don't know how long the rule's been out, but they've been out long enough for somebody to complain about the price already. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and it's going to be black. We're going to kind of sketch where this is going to be. Okay, then we can clean up the length of what have you. So let's come in with, like how that turned out. Let's come in with let's straighten out the length of these things. So for that, we're gonna get our little blend here. which is going to consist of green ochre, which is what this overspray over thing is. The over, whatever the hell I'm trying to say. German gray. Yeah, let's get some water. We're definitely going to need some water for this. All right, let's see if we... No, more than that. It's pretty fucking close. Okay. That's the part where I would clean up the Louisa. I don't think I'm going to clean it up at all. I think it's spot on. Okay, now we give that an overbrush with the same color. It should disappear quite nicely into that. Oh, we gotta do the front. Let's not forget the front. Mind the front. That's not gray. That's not black. This is the black over here. You know, the rules could be simplified as far as like getting a hit. Once you get a hit, they can, you know, the speed's fine. It's just, I hate misses consuming a lot of time. You know, I was telling you before about the test I did with the Viejo dip washes. Send you a pic of two different vehicles. One had the sepia and the other had the black over the base coat. Yeah, send it to me. Careful, I might tell you what I think. Okay, I'm going to end up doing a little bit of a overbrush on top of that, so I can go ahead and do the black lining on this guy. I didn't even know that Vallejo made washes. There was at the model show that I went yesterday. I have the set. I have this one for the counter scheme. Ammo Mig makes one, and Vallejo Air makes one. And the Ammo Mig makes one. So these paints you can brush paint directly from them, no issue. You have to thin them for airbrushing. I don't know how the Vallejo Air is, but I know that the Ammo Mig aren't worth a shit to brush paint with, in my opinion. They're way too thin, but they airbrush great. You don't have to modify them or anything. So, not the greatest kits ever, but they work for this test. What kits did you use? Oh, let's see what you sent me. Oh, okay. What vehicle is this? I like the sepia better. I like the sepia better because as an overall like filter or whatever, you can always add the black in where you want it. Is that what you came up to the same conclusion? I don't know what it's. Is that I can take that's a fantasy something or another. The Final Fantasy. Two ancient laser burn tanks back from the early 80s. Laser burn. Why does that sound familiar? That's something that figure line that what's his name makes. 15 millimeter Co UK. I feel like they're like, or I'm thinking Star Grunt. I don't know. Laser burn sounds something like that. I think lasers do a little bit more than burn. Yeah, I like the sepia as a wash because it just it has that brownness to it. rules seem to suggest that there's one deck per player per side, and you act on a top deck of your deck before drawing more hearts. I'm not sure if that affects the way you play with a chit draw. So the there's if in the other set of rules, there's lots of different ways you can play. You can activate one card per side. You can activate one card per fire team, one card for individual soldier. So I opted for the individual soldier. And the way it's done is if you've got 10 guys versus 20 guys, and they each got 2 cards each, there'd be 20 cards over here and 40. What they do is you make a deck so that they want both sides going at the same time, right? That's the suggested way of playing it. I don't play it that way, but that's the suggested way of playing it. They just figure that way, without a GM, one guy flips it. Okay, this guy activates, that other guy activates, or whatever. But invariably, you get into one of those, I don't want to move until that guy does his move kind of thing. So doing it all bunched together in one makes more sense for me. The other thing is that if you've got 40 cards or chits, I just use them chits, 40 cards or 20 cards, each deck has to be the same size. So you end up you pick whichever deck is the biggest and it stays the same, and the other one just has fillers. So if they had 40 cards and I had 20, I would have 20 real cards and 20 fake cards in there to make them both 40. But the problem with that is that, that guy's going to act and then this guy's not going to. So you're still sitting around. The other thing is that every time you go through the deck, there's casualties that get eliminated that aren't in there anymore. So you'd have to reshuffle the decks every time. It's just easier to use chits, pull one at a time, and just do them one at a time. I think it's better that way. Second edition seems to remove the optional ways of playing. Well, I don't worry about that because I'm going to play the way I want to play. And if you don't like it, well, it's not my problem, Yeah, there's a lot of different ways of doing the option. There's another one of like rolling initiative, and but that's not what needs to be streamlined. I think it worked pretty well moving one guy at a time. The only thing the game ran kind of slow was when you had to look up rules. And the more I was playing it, the less I was looking up. So that ended up not being an issue either. So I was actually okay with the pace of the game. I think there's some incongruencies that involve like the vehicles, like with that whole ramming scenario that I did, that, if you ram another vehicle, it's a lot more catastrophic than it makes it look in the rules. And you're doing a whole lot of, die rolling and hit location just for yucks. But I think it played okay, I wish the morale stuff was cleaned up a little bit. Because sometimes it's like, okay, now what do I do here? But I'm vehemently against getting rid of percentile. I'm like, oh, well, now you just roll a d10. I'm like, okay, that's like playing command decision. That's like, I'm not interested in that. Well, if you start dumbing down the weapons, like, we'll treat all rifles the same. We'll treat all whatever's the same. I'm like, I'm out. The question is, have you guys ever heard of that rule set until I started playing it? Because I'm not surprised that you didn't. I've heard about it on the miniatures page probably in the early 2000s. It had just come out. You know, back when I used to go on the miniatures page religiously. But regardless, I'm probably still going to get it at some point. It's just not a priority thing for me. I looked up when I started buying skirmish scenario books, and it was one of the suggested rule systems. Had battalions in crisis and TAC at that time, so it didn't follow up. TAC really didn't take off. I knew some people that were playing battalions in crisis. Battalions in crisis reminded me a lot of Harpoon, in that it had a lot of detail in certain areas, and then the armor values sucked. There's like 2 armor values for each tank. That just doesn't cut it for me. You know, I wouldn't want any less armor values than Face of Battle has. It's just important to me. It may not be important to somebody else, but you know. It makes me appreciate the different vehicles if they're different from each other. Yeah, those skirmish scenario books are great. Really, really good. I wish they had made more. Skirmish campaigns. And there's a bunch of them made by that company that pushes out Final Combat. But I really didn't like Final Combat. Again, it focuses on all too much detail in certain areas and not enough in others. I actually sold my copy of Final Combat. Lieutenants in crisis used actual armor thickness for vehicles, and each gun had a penetration in millimeters. In the end, it was too detailed for me at the time. Or maybe I looked at it wrong. I remember them only having 2 armor values. I could be wrong. I mean, it was a long time ago when I saw it. Probably 1992 or something like that. This looks like a really cramped vehicle, though. Even if it's large, the fact that it tapers in just seems like that would be an uncomfortable area to be in. Hmm. 'Cosmic gunmetal. Or as I like to call it, Iron Warriors. $24 north of Michigan. Ooh, cool. blackness here in the back. Okay. That's more like it. Now, we still have to do the pale sand on top of it. This thing isn't black lined, is it? No, it's not. Okay, let's go ahead and do that pale sand now. That's in a little funky container because it's one of the newer colors. I don't like these. I don't like these containers. Puma? No, it doesn't have a name. It's a pre-Puma. It's the Puma before the Puma. It's a 231. This is before they had the catchy phrases. We need to go really light on this. Okay, that's good. What's your favorite World War II armored vehicle? Man, I don't have one. There's too many that I like. There's too many tanks I like. I could count on. It'd be easier to like which ones I dislike more. That'd be actually be easier. I pretty much like them all. You know, I do like Panzer threes. I like the way Panzer threes look. Man, I like them all. I mean, except for a handful of vehicles of different nations, not even the same one. There's just too many things to like. There's things about vehicles I don't like. Like I don't like white stars on vehicles that aren't American. That's weird. And we'll dry brush over these hand painted crosses. And you think, what's a German vehicle I don't like? Aesthetically looking. Oh, I don't like these things. I think these are ugly as shit. Boy, this thing's not black lined either. It looks like shit now. This is ugly as shit. RSO pack. Do I got anything anything else that I don't like how it looks. Let's see, vehicles I don't like. I don't like Panzer IIIs and Panzer IVs that don't have the turret box in the back. I think it looks stupid. Soviets, I don't have a problem with any of the Soviets that I have. I don't dislike any British vehicles I have. Americans, I don't dislike any of the Americans that I have. But favorite? That'd be impossible. That'd be impossible. I don't think I could do it. SDKFZ 247. Oh, you're gonna make me look that one up. SDKFZ 247. What is that? Quiz time. Is that like a Horch car that got turned into something? I certainly don't have one. The Command Panzer One's pretty freaking ugly. That's a pretty ugly vehicle. A Panzer One's kind of ugly to begin with, but a Command Panzer One definitely is ugly as shit. SDKFZ 247. Oh, what an interesting vehicle. Was I right? Was it a Horch? Like that Horch car? Actually, good look. I think it's a cool looking vehicle. It definitely doesn't look like World War II. It looks like something more modern. That's a cool vehicle. Oh, it looks like it's based on a 222 from these little the protectors here, so that you don't park in the wrong side of town and they take your wheels off. That's a cool vehicle. May I remember correctly, or a few of the smaller Axis powers used the Balkenkreuz. That is ugly. I like the Panzerspahwagen. You don't like the 247? God, there aren't very many vehicles, period. You know, the ugliest American vehicle is that damn duck truck. That thing's ugly. It's ugly as sin. That's like a shitty pair of galoshes. We got some wood to paint on this thing. I don't know how I could, you know, I don't know how I'd be able to make a decision. There's so many things that are really attractive. I mean, how do you decide what your favorite American tank is? I mean, Stuarts are freaking awesome. You know, I don't dislike Shermans. I think that people paint them boring and make them uninteresting, but that's on you, you know. I like my Shermans. You're the opposite. I like Panzer IVs without the turret bustle. You old school person, you. That dates from when Airfix bought the 24SD and I hate that. I hate the Panzer IV without the turret thing. It looks weird. It just looks so freaking weird. So weird. I think the best looking version of the Panzer IV is like a G in gray. Just before they went to with no shirts on it. Like a Wintergewitter's G. I think that's a damn good looking vehicle. Panzer IIs I can tolerate without the turret basket in the back. But the other vehicle is just weird. And a Tiger without that basket in the back? That looks like an abortion. That's just super, super weird. You know, almost all the Soviet tanks, I think, are relatively attractive, regardless of them being utilitarian and commie bastards. I don't care. They still look good. You like the Panzerwerfer because it has to do with rockets. I'm going to get a first to fight 247 as a command car from an early war recon company. Hideous New Zealand tank. What is that? That one with the Bob Semple or something like that? It's got a weird name. New Zealand ugly tank. Bob Semple. How did I get that right? I don't think I've ever said that in my life. Yeah, does that even count? A Matilda 1 is ugly as shit. A Matilda 1 is because of the running gear, it's just like, I mean, a Matilda 2 might actually be really ugly as well if it didn't have that covering all the innards. A Matilda 1 is ugly. Lees are pretty ugly. U.S. Lee tanks, they're pretty ugly. But unattractive, maybe. Ugly's probably a little too strong. I think the earliest version of Valentine's pretty unattractive. The turret's too small. It looks weird. Not keeping me from building any. The Bob Semple tank turns up in a lot of VBCW, very British Civil War games. In New Zealand, or they make their own version of it? The sponson? It has sponsons? Oh, yeah. It's the corrugated. It's the corrugated thing that makes it really unattractive. Hold on one second. Okay, let me paint this shovel, and then we're going to stop for the moment. This thing's about done. I got some drippings, and that's about it. The Japanese have some ugly tanks. And it's not the Hago. The Japanese do have some ugly tanks. Well, I don't know. I mean, that type whatever. I can't remember the damn type ones. The first one with a 57 millimeter gun that's front heavy looking is actually the Japanese tanks were more attractive than they are worth a shit. They are really poor, really poor things. Would love to have a Kettenkrad. And at the show, I also picked up one of those little hardcover books, like the uniform ones for World War One vehicles. God, World War One vehicles are just really unattractive. Pretty much all of them. I mean, just the tires on some of those trucks are, I'm about 1,000% certain. I have no idea who Hassan either. You're right. I have no idea who they are. We're gonna find out what they are. Are they boxers? That's what it sounds like. Can someone explain? What is this? No idea. No idea who these. No idea what that is. They're commies. Well, I don't like either one of them then. No. The armored cars look classy. I don't know. I mean, when you have a war, when you have a war, and your best vehicle is a Renault FT-17. Those big French land battleships look cool in that All Quiet on the Western Front movie. Those look pretty cool. Okay, well, we're going to wrap up here. We're not completely done with the 231, but we're definitely on the right track. But really happy. Oh yeah, we need to put the crooked coconuts. We've got to put some crooked coconut decals on the 231. And anyways, thanks for hanging out with me, folks. I make it. Ooh, that's the wrong color. May get a chance to be on later today. And we'll see you guys on the next one.